We looked at the beginning of Series 2 at the issues that are likely to dominate compliance, regulation, finance, and technology across not only 2021, but really across the decade. And one of those issues that we focused in on was very much around electronic payments. And if we think about the last year, we think about the impact of COVID-19 that we talked so much about over the past year, one of the biggest impacts of COVID-19 has been in the context of a dramatic acceleration of digitization of everything, but in particular, digitization of payments. And what we have seen is that electronic payments have been necessary for countries and governments all across the world in trying to respond to the crisis. First, from the standpoint of lockdowns and getting resources to people. And second, from the standpoint of getting emergency assistance to people. And now as we begin to go forward to think about getting resources to people to get the economy restarted. And what we have seen is a necessity of governments to work with the private sector, whatever private sector providers you have, to use electronic payment systems to get resources really to everyone in societies and economies all across the world. But one aspect of this that is we are now thinking about how can we build better payment systems. COVID-19 has highlighted exactly how essential electronic payments are in responding to existential sustainability crises like pandemics or like climate change or whatever sort of crisis we may face, but also from the standpoint of resilience. Thinking about coming out of COVID-19, how can we build better financial systems? One of the core aspects has been around building electronic payment systems. And it's something that if we think about payments, money, payment, technology have always been co-developmental over the last 10,000 years of settled human history. But over the past 100 years or so, we've seen a pretty dramatic acceleration in the impact of technology on payments. Of course, if we think back to the late 1800s, we can think about the advent of the telegraph. And one of the things that the telegraph was used for from the very earliest days was payments. Sending money back and forth instantaneously across great distances. If we think about the 20th century, some of our biggest developments, the automated teller machine, for instance, or real-time gross settlement systems, or the development of SWIFT, the world's major electronic messaging system for cross-border payments, or more recently, the development of the euro, of CLS, the Continuous Linked Settlement Bank. All of these have been about development of payments and the evolution of technology. In the context of the 21st century, 2007, we saw two huge developments: the advent of the smartphone, the iPhone, as well as the launch of M-Pesa, the first mobile payment system. And of course, in 2008, we get the advent of Bitcoin. And it is really these three pieces, the smartphone, mobile-based payments, and decentralized ledger technology that sets the basis for, over the past decade, a technological revolution in payments. And so we are seeing a revolution from the standpoint of decentralized systems like blockchain, Bitcoin, digital assets, but also from the standpoint of centralized systems. Not only real-time gross settlement systems, which have spun out all across the world, but the increasing advent of fast payment systems, retail-based instantaneous payment systems, often combined with mobile technology. And all of these factors have come together in 2019 and 2020. Why? Facebook in 2019 announced the plan to launch what is called the first global stablecoin, initially called Libra, now called Diem. Essentially, this was to be a private company issuing a cryptocurrency which could be used as a monetary instrument across WeChat, across WhatsApp Pay, Facebook Pay, Instagram Pay, to enable electronic payments across literally billions of people all over the world. Coming almost at the same time, the launch in China of DCEP, the digital currency electronic payment system, what is likely to be the world's first major currency central bank digital currency. And so what these have highlighted is this realization that electronic payments are at the center of our societies, of our economies, of dealing with crises, and of building stronger financial systems going forward. Ideas of private sector work like Libra or Diem and public sector projects like central bank digital currencies highlighted how we can use technology to build better payment systems. And we can see in 2020 the launch by the Group of 20, the G20, of a major project to look into these ideas of how we could build better payment systems. What we are seeing across 2021 is the rollout of both private sector work like Diem, as well as public sector projects, central bank digital currencies, both involving just the public sector as well as the private sector. And I think as we see the 2020s progress, we are going to see more and more governments looking at how can they rebuild their financial systems on the basis of technology and payments.